Well, let me begin by showing you something. This is something that my grandfather made years ago. He was a craftsman. He was a glass carver and a glass blower. Now, this paperweight means a lot to me, not because of its monetary value, but because of its personal values. It helps me remember my granddad, who I was really close to, but who died quite a number of years ago now. We all have mementos, don't we? Things that we keep to help us remember something important. Maybe things which remind us of someone who we love. Maybe to help remind us of a special holiday or event. Now, the poppy became a symbol for the Royal British Legion back in 1921. And every year since, there may be less this year because it's harder to sell them with all the COVID restrictions. But every year people have worn these poppies to remember a number of things. To remember people who've lost their lives in war. To say a thank you to those who fought or who are fighting for peace in the world today. And to remember the freedom that we have because of the sacrifice which others made. And many, of course, have done exactly that through the years, including those young local men whose names that we read a short time ago from our village war memorial. People who have given so much, who've given their lives for the sake of others. Now, the poppy is the chosen symbol, or memento, if you like, because when the fighting stopped in the First World War, it was the first flower to grow in those European battlefields. It's a symbol then of hope in the face of conflict, even of life in the face of death. As Christians, we have an even greater hope. In the Old Testament, the prophet Isaiah reports God as saying these words, making these promises. I will make rivers flow on barren heights and springs within the valleys. I will turn the desert into pools of water and the parched ground into springs. In God Himself, we can find the ultimate hope. He can do those things which no human being can ever do. He can bring order out of chaos, hope out of despair, and even life out of death. The cross, the empty cross, is the ultimate symbol of hope. On it, Jesus overcame evil and ultimately rose again, defying death. And so will all of those who trust in Him. So as we've heard, the poppy too is a symbol of hope. And it's a reminder to say thank you. And to develop that habit of saying thank you is a wonderful habit to have, not only at Remembrance time, but all year round. I wonder, could we, all of us, learn to develop that habit a little more? Having that attitude of gratitude. Maybe pausing each day to remember that in so many ways we are blessed, and to thank God for that. Remembering to say thank you to people who in all sorts of ways have done things both small and large for us. Those who've made a difference to us in all sorts of ways. I wonder, do we show our appreciation of others enough? And by the same token, do we show our appreciation of God too? Now, He is always ready to hear from us, to hear our heartfelt cries and our anxieties. And the truth is, we can talk to Him anytime in just a few simple words from our hearts. Just a couple of minutes each day can make all the difference. Finally, poppies are a symbol of peace. And peace, of course, can take on a whole number of forms. Here's something which Jesus said to His friends. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. That's from John chapter 16. Now that is a promise every single one of us needs to hear at the moment, isn't it? In this anxious, COVID-ravaged world, My goodness, we need some peace. In a situation where we have very little control, yes, we can and should play our part in following the restrictions that are in place. But that just isn't enough, is it? We desperately need to find a way of finding a level of peace, even a sense of contentment amongst all the uncertainty. So, where can we go to find all these things? Is there a way to find that deep peace in the midst of anxiety? Let me tell you, I've spent slightly more of my life following Jesus than not following him. And my honest experience is that those years following him, I have found that in him and only in him, peace in times of uncertainty and flashes of hope amongst the darkness of despair. As Christians, we can choose to take Jesus at his word, to turn to him, and find that even amongst the troubles of this world and of this current time, we can know a deep sense of peace. So you see, we as the church, we as the Jesus movement in the world today, we have something vital, we have something life-changing to offer. Because God's call on us is to be symbols of light, symbols of hope, lights in the darkness, poppies in a barren field. So let's follow Jesus ever more closely, who cares for each and every individual more than we could ever know. And let's let Jesus work through us to bring hope to those places where it really is needed the most. Because, my friends, this is what we're all about. So let's offer what we can, and let's be the difference which people need right now, this winter and beyond.